My name's Catherine Elbelston. I'm the Registrar at the Immigration Advisors Authority. So can I just have a show of hands who has heard of us and knows what we do? Okay, a few people but not everyone. So I'm just going to start with a little bit of context. So anyone who's providing New Zealand immigration advice has to have a licence from the Immigration Advisors Authority unless they are exempt. So what is immigration advice? What does this cover? So when we talk about giving immigration advice, we're talking about using your knowledge or experience in immigration to do a broad range of things, whether you're advising, directing, assisting or representing another person in regard to a New Zealand immigration matter. So it's really about that using knowledge or experience, and I'm sure that there are many of you here in the room today that have had some experiences with immigration and you feel like you might know something. Maybe it's just a little bit. Sometimes people deal with one immigration case and feel like they know a lot. And then some people who may have had quite a bit of experience realise that it can be quite a minefield and that it can be quite complex advising people on immigration matters, that people can be in quite complex situations. So it doesn't matter if someone's taking money or not, if they're using that knowledge or experience to help somebody out with an immigration matter, that is giving immigration advice. There are a few things that are carved out that aren't included in that definition of immigration advice. So providing publicly available information is one. Now what we're talking about there is not publicly available information that you read a year or so ago and you're remembering. That's actually your knowledge or experience. It's referring someone to the Immigration New Zealand website. Here is a web page and this is what it says. It's giving them an Immigration New Zealand form and saying it says on the front here that you need to have X, Y and Z, and you're actually referring to the publicly available information. So it's important that if you're relying on that, you're just providing publicly available information, you are actually referring back to the source, because immigration policy changes and you might have remembered it a little bit wrong. It also doesn't include basic clerical work, and what we're talking about there is data entry, computer entry, back office kind of work, or if you're filling in a form for somebody under their direction, so they're telling you what to write. That's okay, and some people do assist in communities, helping people fill in forms. But if you're doing that, you're not telling them what to write. They are simply telling you, and you're a scribe. Translating and interpreting, so that's from one language to another, English to their native language, or the other way around. That is not included as immigration advice. And settlement services, so we're talking about helping them get into a school, how to use the banking system, that sort of thing. So we're just talking about the process of getting help with a visa application. And there are some people who are exempt. So they're using their knowledge or experience in immigration, but they don't have to be licensed because they're exempt. So if it's in a family situation, a sister advising their sister, they've been through the experience, it's one-off, it's casual, it's informal, there's no money exchange, that's okay. MPs and their staff, current New Zealand lawyers, so someone holding a current practicing certificate, community law centres and Citizens Advice Bureau staff and volunteers, many of you here in the room today, are actually exempt from the requirement. People who are overseas outside of New Zealand and who advise on student visas only are also exempt. Anyone else needs to have a licence with us. So what do? We set standards for licensed advisors. There's a qualification, a one-year graduate diploma in New Zealand immigration advice that people need to complete. They have to meet those competency standards. Once they're licensed, they have to follow a code of conduct, ethical standards for how they operate. We license people all around the world. There are over 1,000 licensed advisors around the world, in New Zealand and outside of New Zealand. This is our register, so you can go to our register on our website and you can look up to see if someone is licensed. You can search by first name, last name, business name and location. So for example, if you put in Christchurch or Canterbury there, you'll get a list of all the people with Christchurch or Canterbury in their address. And we also hear complaints about bad immigration advice. So we hear complaints from people who have dealt with a licensed advisor and it wasn't up to scratch, and we also hear complaints from people who've dealt with an unlicensed advisor, so someone who is actually not licensed in the first instance. We are separate from Immigration New Zealand, so we're actually both housed within MBIE, the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, but we are completely separate. And so it's important that anyone who is thinking about making a complaint or talking to us feels comfortable knowing that complaining to us or talking to us is not going to have any impact on their perhaps a future visa application, or they may be in the country unlawfully and they're concerned about being deported. So people can talk to us in confidence in knowing that we are separate from Immigration New Zealand. We have some guides to licensed advisors. I've got a pile in English at the back, and I really don't want to take any home today, so please feel free, especially the CABs, if you want to grab a few. We also have them in English, Chinese, Korean, Samoan, Tongan, Hindi and Punjabi. If you would like copies of these for your CAB or anybody else here today, you can email us and request however many copies in whichever languages you would like. So contacting us, we can help you find a licensed advisor. If don't have internet access, we can look them up on our register. We can help if you've received poor immigration advice or the people you're talking to have. We can't recommend the best advisor for someone to use, and we can't actually give immigration advice ourselves. So there are our contact details, which are also available on our pamphlet. I can see people writing there, so I'll just pause for a moment. And I'm going to give you a couple of case studies now. So the first one is in regard to someone who is providing immigration advice unlawfully. So this is an unlicensed person. Okay, I've only got a minute. So this particular person was advising Samoan nationals trying to get lawful status in New Zealand. He took over $5,000 for those services, didn't have a licence, it was unlawful activity. In July last year, he was sentenced to 10 months home detention, so it is a criminal offence. And he was offering to lodge them residence applications. He was telling them what information to put in their application to Immigration New Zealand. And he was holding himself out to be someone who was experienced and could be trusted, but wasn't. And you'll get examples like this in the building and construction sector, so it may be employers, it may be recruiters. They are helping and they may be giving advice when they're not actually allowed to do so. Second example is a licensed immigration advisor. Now this particular person had agreed to provide services for a work visa and a residence visa, and the complainant paid $7,000 for those services. He didn't actually provide the advice himself, his employer did, who was unlicensed. The advice was not good advice. That aside, when the person came to New Zealand and evaluated their situation, they decided they didn't actually want to come and asked for a refund. So the services hadn't actually been provided, so there wasn't a work or residence visa delivered, and he wanted a refund. He didn't get the refund. He refused to provide the refund. So he complained to us. His licence was cancelled. He was ordered to pay a penalty of $5,000. He was ordered to refund the $7,000 that had been paid, plus $500 in compensation for the delay in the refund. And he was prevented from reapplying until he had done the 1 year training. So that's an example of the kinds of outcomes that can come from complaining to us. Got some tips there. Very briefly, sorry, I'm out of time, but two more slides very quick. If they're not putting the name on the visa application, telling you to lie on the visa application, saying they're going to get you success because they've got personal contacts at INZ, Immigration New Zealand, or tells you to sign a blank form. These are all really, we see these things happening over and again when people are using unlicensed advisors. And finally, if anyone is interested in becoming a licensed advisor, there is information on that on our website.